Hey everybody, Unstable Gamer here, and welcome back to Disney Mirrorverse. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at March's tier list, and I will say with the reset and the changes in the tower providing more difficult content in the game, there's a lot of things that did change with the tier list. So we're going to go ahead and dive into that, but first, before we do, if you're just now finding this channel and you want to stay up to date with this and other games, consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out. All right, and welcome back. So let's go ahead and just take a look at the tier list. Just a reminder, all the links to my social media are in the description below, so definitely check that out. Also, this game is in beta/soft launch. It's not available everywhere, but where it is available, you can get it on iOS and Android. That's also the reason why I have my tier list separated the way it is, just A through D. There's not going to be any S tier, God tier, anything like that until we get into global launch, because I think these characters are going to go through quite a bit of changes, and as we get more and more difficult content added to the game, it's going to allow us to test these Guardians so much better than we were currently, because we were all overpowered, the content wasn't difficult. Now we got some difficult content to really put these Guardians through to see if they really belong where we've got them. So let's go ahead and just take a look at the tier list, talk about the changes and what's going on with this. So A, we're going to continue to have Merida, Belle, and Baymax. It was great to have Baymax come back into A tier because he had a bug where he wasn't giving himself armor. Now he's fixed. He's fantastic. He's great. Merida, best range in the game. Baymax, best tank in the game. Belle, in my opinion, best healer in the game. Best overall healer. I think when we go into the B tier and we look at Jack is more specialized with curses and decursing and things like that. So we'll find out maybe a little bit later in the game as we get more difficult content, or maybe more content specific to Jack himself. We might see him move up, but right now I've got him in B tier. Judy Hopps is great. Roots and her roots are awesome. Nice AoEs. Works out really well. Rapunzel and Mulan. I did move Mulan down. Mulan was in A tier, but with the tower and running her through the tower, her damage just doesn't sustain through the more difficult levels, and as you get into more difficult areas, it seems like she just doesn't scale well. So I did have to drop her down into the B tier. Now C tier has most of the Guardians in the game, and when we take a look at this, when you take a look at tier lists, just again a reminder, these are based on the experiences of the creator and what they've done, what we've put into these characters, and how we've been testing them, right? So it's my opinion on this game. And with that being said, I think when you take a look at my tier list, you're going to see most of the okay is going to fall into C. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that we've got some other characters that are really going to be more essential towards endgame content, and that's where your A and B tiers really come in. So some changes into the C tier here. I moved Genie into the C tier. Some challenges I have with Genie. He's the only tank in the game that has a taunt, which is called Lure. I think it works fairly well. It lures everybody towards him for a certain period of time. And I think it works fairly well. I think what my biggest challenge with him is he is required to lose health at 75%, 50%, and 25% in order for some of his kit to act, right? In order to give defense, in order to give armor, in order to gain indestructible for a certain period of time. That's when he goes all the way down to 25%. Requiring him to lose health all the way down to 25% so that you can fully use his kit strategically, I'm not a fan of, because then once you get him down to the 25%, it's only the first time it happens in an encounter, right? So then you got to play catch up. You got to not heal at all until your Genie gets down to 25%, and then you have to just massively heal to try and get him caught up. And when you're in some of those more difficult stages where one hit at 25%, one hit or two hits on him will just take him out, it's not a very good strategy. So, in my opinion, he's not all that useful, especially when you start talking about end-game content. When you talk about lower-level content or mid-game stuff, I think he's okay. But up towards the higher levels, the upper levels, and more difficult content, I really don't think so. Ian Lightfoot, I think Ian is pretty cool. He has this rotation thing where he rotates between attack and defense I think it's every 10 seconds, 5 or 10 seconds. He'll rotate between the two. And depending on whether he's in an attack, his attack phase or his defense phase, that is how the special is going to work. So if he's in attack and you use your special, you're going to get an attack buff. If he's in his defense, he's going to give a defense buff. So it really forces you to choose kind of what do you need more. Do you need some more attack at that particular time? Do you need more defense? I kind of like that. It reminds me back in the Druid, the Boomkin in World of Warcraft, where you would cycle between two phases, and depending on the phase that you're in, it impacted your abilities and what those abilities do to your enemies. So it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. I don't know that I'm a huge fan of it, but you can strategically use it. His heals aren't overly fantastic. I put him pretty much where I feel he belongs as far as his usability and his ability to be an effective support to his team. So, but you have some functionality there and some choices to make, which I think overall I think is fairly cool. Scrooge McDuck still in C tier. He really requires another character, another guardian to be paired up with to really be effective. And right now I think he's most effective with Merida, just giving that extra crit, that extra focus to give her more crit, and then she melts health bars, just crazy. Maleficent I dropped down because as we were working through the tower and getting to more difficult levels, she didn't seem to scale very well either, and her kit, it just isn't that effective. So when we take a look at some of the top teams in the game, like Merida, Mel, and Baymax, or Merida, Baymax, and Jack Sparrow, or even when you throw in Baymax, Mulan, and Jack Sparrow or Belle, depending on kind of what you need, you really don't need Maleficent. She's kind of underwhelming, especially now that we're starting to see more difficult content. And then in the D tier, I'm keeping Scar, Sully, and Goofy there. I am considering moving Goofy into the unrated because the challenge with Goofy is you have to continually get his shards from the store, from the mission store, so that you can build him up. And I think that's where a lot of people are, is just really building him up. And that's really the reason why I put him in D tier, is because you can unlock him and you can get him to a 2-star fairly quickly, but then to get him up to that 4-star and 5-star, it just takes a really long time. And I don't feel, when we take a look at these tier lists, this is the order in which I really feel that people should use their resources to be the most effective and to get as far as the game as possible. Putting all your resources into Goofy really isn't going to help, which is why he's down into D tier. Plus, he's not overly effective right now. Once we get him to 5-star, we might see him move up into a C or B tier, or maybe higher. But that's going to take some time. And then as far as Minnie goes, I just got Minnie. It took 19,000 Stardust in order to get her unlocked. I was going to hold off, but I decided to go ahead and get her anyway. It does unlock her at a 4-star, so I've not had time. I just did that the other day. I've not had time to really test her. So she will be rated in April's tier list. So I'd really be interested to hear your thoughts on the game if you're playing it, on the tier list, who your favorite Guardian is, and who your favorite team is. And how are you doing on that tower if you're playing the game? All right, everybody. As always, I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch the video. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button and share your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Take care, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time.